Broken, so I've got to like try and keep conscious about like covering it up to the camera, you know what I mean?
I do.
All right. Hello.
Hi.
It's nice to be here.
It's so nice to have you.
Thanks for welcoming us into your space.
Anytime.
Your beautiful home.
Anytime.
Cool. Well, you do all of the things. You do the music, you do the art, you do the modelling and the life modelling and just the general goddess-ing. So.
Thank you.
Where in your upbringing did you first notice music? Where did it really come into your brain as something that moved you?
My father's music studio, his lounge room, and my mum's kitchen and car.
And what were you hearing?
Well, my parents had a duo in the 80s, and they got some recordings, so I definitely remember their original tunes very clearly.
Cool.
Yeah, that's very deep for me. Also, I went to bed with music. My parents put on Enya for Gigi and I as a lullaby, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
In so many ways. Yep. And like heaps of like 60s, 70s bands like King Crimson and Deep Purple and Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
A lot of female artists too, like Dido, Joni Mitchell, Missy Higgins, Amanda Marshall, Donovan, and Japanese Zen music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Huge range. Yeah, good. Your parents are both as you said, musical, very creative people, eclectic, interesting folks.
Yeah, they are.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and my sister are reasonable offshoots.
I was told that when you and Gigi first found out that you could sing, that you didn't tell your parents about it. Is that true?
Yes.
Why did you not?
Because my mum in particular has a very non-bashful friend circle. She's worked with models, actors, singers, people in theatre, fashion designers, very like extroverted and performance, performing folk.
Yeah.
And we just knew we were actually quite severely shy children, and we just knew that if Mum knew that we could sing, we would be forced to sing.
You'd be performing.
We would be performing at parties and probably on television. And,
oh God.
And we were pretty prepared not to do that.
Yeah.
And
like, no, thank you. Honest to God.
We basically made a pact with each other to make sure that our skill set in the vocal area would not be revealed. Would stay secret. I actually remember us getting like a little bit urgent and angry at each other if we'd hear each other humming in one of our bedrooms because Mum might hear and find out that we can sing. Yeah, it's fucked up.
When did what was the conversation between you both, or at what age did that start to fall away and you decided to come out with the truth that you both could sing like angels?
Year 7 cabaret. Me and Gigi were really, really great friends with this lovely girl, Sophia Hamilton, who has an angel's voice as well. And we were all a little bit private at school, but we all bonded and clung together and bonded over the fact that we liked singing, and we would practice harmonies at lunchtime together, and we sang Accidentally in Love from the Shrek movie by All Stars, I think.
Yeah.
And 3-part harmony, 3 very sweet girls, and we got choreography for that song, but that was performed in year 7, and I remember my parents coming up to Gigi and I after the performance, blubbering and being like, "You didn't tell us you could sing."
Oh.
And we were just like, yeah.
Blasé, like, doesn't matter. God, mum and dad, don't even worry about it.
Yeah. So mean. Why were we so mean?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure they maybe now could retroactively understand,
It's
like,
just
why.
funny
you know?
as children what kind of information you take in from your surroundings and what, like, outcomes that you come up with.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so strange. And ours was protect ourselves, block our parents out of something that's very dear and integral to our being.
Yeah, to their being,
It's
into
like,
their, yeah.
It's very nonsensical in a way.
Years for kids, it's alright, it's alright.
Yeah.
Alright, year 7, you would have been like 13 or something like that.
12.
12, okay. So then, your musical journey throughout high school, how did that sort of start to develop?
I was very stubborn. I didn't actually get great musical grades in high school, even though it was like part of my identity, wanting to be a singer-songwriter. Just rejected music theory. I just like, it was a little bit of like fuck the man attitude that I don't really know where it came from, to be honest. And I'm still trying to peel that attitude away, because as I've gotten older and wiser and able to observe myself from slightly further back, very much based in pride, that attitude about like just like consciously choosing not to listen to certain information, especially information such as music theory that's like an ancient craft and language. Just had to break some like young perspectives about what authenticity was, or about creativity. I think I felt a real pressure, again, I don't really know where it came from, but a real pressure to conform. And I just deep in my heart wanted to make music regardless of my weaknesses in that area. And music theory was a weakness, because I was primarily self-taught, sort of folky singer-songwriter. I just clung to that certainty that I was going to be involved in music regardless of my skill set. I just had the passion. I had misplaced confidence.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's alright. I mean, you know, I'm open to it now. But high school was definitely, like, from there on, I remember so many experiences where people wanted to help me grow and get better, but I just had this like cold stubbornness in regards to, no, I don't want to take on anybody else's opinion. It was a striving towards being individual and maintaining my individuality.
Yeah.
As a creative, I think I was very afraid of my voice getting altered at somebody else's hands.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, your expense.
At my own, at the expense of my
your
truth.
integrity, or totally.
Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, I could totally just be. I mean, I'm just curious here. Do you think that has any connection with being a twin?
Totally. You know, come to think of it, yes. Constantly being referred to as the girls.
Oh yeah.
Like, are the girls coming over? Or, oh, where are the girls?
Yeah.
And I don't blame anyone for it. It's just a natural occurrence. But yeah, always being pushed in to situations together by default.
Yeah.
I think, and for both of us, it's good that both of us felt that way. Like, at the same time, we were just like, yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, totally.
And made, through music and art, you know, through our own passions, that was the way that we created our independence, I think.
Yeah.
It's important not to go too far with that, though. There's a real sense of belonging and, like, spiritual confidence that you can draw from that connection. So, yeah, you sort of swing one way extreme and then swing the other way extreme in regards to how independent do you actually want to be.
Yeah.
Same with accepting help from people musically, like people who know more things than you. Rather than sort of closing off as if it's like unwanted criticism or like anything that has any sort of manipulative intention. I'm really having to learn to calm that sort of fight or flight response that I get when somebody offers me feedback or tries to sort of lead me in one direction. have to calm that response and open to the actual knowledge or wisdom that might be coming from that person. That's what I'm doing now.
You always want to be the one in the room with the least experience, because then you've got the most to gain and the most to learn and that sort of thing. I think that's actually it's really true, but it's one of those like easier said than done sorts of things, because being in a room with people who were, you know, quote unquote better than you, but that can be really, it's so challenging. It's confronting, you know.
Yeah, it's the best education. Immersive and actually in terms of your attention. Yeah. Like if you're actually applying your attention with humility, like, because we can be in the same room as a whole lot of really educated people, but if we've got our own blocks around what we're willing to listen to or what we're willing to accept, and how we process that confrontation that happens in those uncomfortable situations when you know less than others. I found it very important to hone my awareness and my attention, like the nature of my attention, making sure that it's humble as often as possible so that I can actually receive the lesson. Because sometimes if you're all rigid and you go, shit going on, it's just bouncing. All that awesome wisdom is just bouncing off you and it's not integrating at all. And then you don't learn anything. And then
you just walk out of there upset.
Walk away upset, or just wasted a bunch of time or wasted other people's time. In a way, like, that's a cruel way to look at it, but musical unions do end. And I've had enough sort of missed opportunities or opportunities where you've been in something really great that could provide a lot of lessons. But you weren't in a good headspace to understand the nature of that opportunity and how good that opportunity was. And you didn't bring yourself to the table.
Monkey Atoll and Momentous, your first kind of examples of those crews that unions end. What were those experiences for you? What were you doing and stuff?
Oh, such a massive experience, both those bands. First of all, there's all this excitement when you join a band. You're like, I'm in a band, woo! Crafting my music, moving forward with it, sharing it with the world, sharing it with other people. Like, it is this really exciting time on a musical and professional level. But then there's sort of this underlying facet of it, which is the personal side of things and who you are and what your personal relationships are with other people in the band. And all of you are constantly navigating how efficiently you can manage all of those parts of being in the same room together.
Totally.
And embarking on what can be a really meaningful and subsequently intense time creating a creative product together. And depending on how you experience life, but for me, those two bands, there was some massive gender exploration into how gender affects not only personal relationships but creativity, and also in a professional environment.
The music industry in general.
It was massive insight. I think I was the youngest in the band. I was just 18 or maybe 17 at the time. I think I was 17 in Monkey Atoll. And just learning how to be a woman, if nothing else. Learning how to manage my emotions and how I feel about certain things, my standards, expectations on a personal level, but then also bringing that into an environment which is male dominated. And it's not that anybody has negative intentions, as gender towards each other, but inevitably there's just there's a different science I find when it comes to figuring out problems or what your expectations, what you want music to be. So and as a sensitive, quite intellectual lady who grew up with a twin sister, no brothers or anything, learning how to be and learning how to come to that environment prepared.
Yeah.
Learning that really you are the only person that's in control of managing your stuff.
Yeah.
You cannot put that expectation on band members, and it gets blurry in bands because they become family.
Totally,
and
yeah.
they become friends,
so close, and
or they become lovers, which I would also say on this point, if you're serious about being in the music industry, it's a hard one. It just gets it's already complicated. So if you throw that into the dynamic, it just gets more complicated, and shit goes down. So depends how distracted you want to get, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Like, if you know that music is, you want this achieved, you want this as a singer-songwriter, up-and-coming female in the music industry, whatever.
Yeah.
Just be aware of that and seriously put that boundary up, because it will, in some ways it will surge you forward, because you develop an intimate bond and like empathy with maybe a person that you start to be intimate with, and you both create music, and there's a really nice propelling of your creative projects. In my experience, it doesn't last.
Yeah.
And you just got to like think about whether or not you want that outcome.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so as a young woman entering these bands, there was a lot going on in terms of how do I want to hold myself in the world?
Yeah.
How do I want to hold myself amongst men in a personal and professional environment? And ultimately, what do I want?
Yeah.
And how I hold myself will create that outcome.
Yeah.
And learning how to be in control of that and take responsibility for it.
Yeah.
It's a big task.
Yeah, it is a task.
As a young chickie or a young man, to start taking responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the vision that you have. But those two bands were a massive. They started that journey for me.
After Monkey Atoll and Momentous parted ways and did their thing, you jumped on board with the project with another 3 men?
Three
men? How was that?
You know what? It was so much better because they were like 20 years older than me. I think what was so different was that they were actually just so grateful to have me, because they couldn't sing. Yeah. And obviously by that time, being in bands forever, they would have met some singers. But for some reason they chose me, first of all, to feature on some songs, but our sounds just melded so well that they eventually quite quickly asked me to be a permanent fixture in the band. And that sense of gratitude that I felt from them.
Your input was valued.
That my input was valued, not only on like an ideas level, like in terms of what I was coming up with melodically or lyrically or whatever. Also respecting my sensitivities, being fresh into the world of recording. Yeah. Bearing your soul in front of a microphone while there's other people present. Yeah. Engineers or other instrumentalists or whatever. They were gentle. They didn't push me past a comfort zone, which whilst that's important, and they did sort of prod me. Inevitably, if you are engaging in a creative process, you already know what your challenges are. Yeah. And I found back then I didn't really need other people to sort of make me feel shit about being challenged by something. Yeah. And these men just knew when it was time to take a break. Yeah. And they knew when to sort of invite me back into the studio if I had to have like a breathe or like calm down or like do some warm-ups. Like they just, I guess they were giving me permission to take control of my skill set as well. They weren't taking the control out of my hands. Even though maybe I wasn't the most trustworthy figure, being a young girl, like fresh to the music industry.
Sure, okay, yeah, I know what you mean.
And like me, obviously overthinking a lot and doubting myself a lot, but they gave me permission to take control in the way that I needed to. Yeah, and your boundaries. And it was in my hands. I felt in control to be able to do that. I had choice, rather than people being like, no, it's fine, just keep going, or whatever this attitude is, which, I mean, best of intentions and like in some circumstances it is the right thing. Yeah. Because sometimes we don't have a clear perspective of ourselves or our abilities.
Yeah.
So it is important for other people to
say, no, you're
shine
good.
the light
Yeah.
and be like, no, it's good enough.
Yeah.
Or no, do it one more time. Like, you can do this. Like,
yeah.
it's all good shit. Just depends who you are and how it affects you.
Yeah.
But yes, they gave me a lot of space, and I really appreciate that. And you know, maybe I was offering them a little bit of young energy, like, you know, somebody who doesn't have kids or mortgage or marriages or any of this stuff. It was just, I had a bit more of a, I don't know, young perspective about life, which they've told me that they quite like.
So what is Sonori up to at the moment? What's happening with obviously it's everybody's been separated and stuff.
We've got heaps of new songs. I think for all of us, sort of at the same time, life kind of got in the way.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a nice thing about these guys being 20 years older than me, is that they sort of understand that.
Yeah.
By now. Yeah, when life gets in the way with Sonori, there's no fuss.
Yeah.
Which is such a relief, because, you know, if you can't come to band rehearsal for whatever reason, or, you know, something in your car fucks out on tour and somebody has to pay for it, there's no arguments.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, that shit happened, now they have to fix it.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Like, nothing gets personal. Yes, and also maybe that they do have careers, and even though they're not, you know, they might be tight in the pocket, like, they just know that time and people and experience is worth more than money. But it's basically just like, oh shit, done.
Yeah, get it out of the way.
Everybody stop talking about it, let's make some music.
Well, totally. These
These guys are so busy, but they find the moments. They just know that it's worth getting out of bed, even if you have to have 3 coffees on the way, or you spill your coffee, or so-and-so's late. It's just like, what we're about to do is what we love, and we've always loved it. Yeah. Let's keep doing it.
Yeah. How did that dynamic of bringing in another band member, being a cello player, being a female?
Was so cool.
Yeah.
Amelie is a classically trained cello player, which Sonori was very excited about, because we are all very sort of like awe-inspired by, you know, masters of their craft.
Totally.
And
she's incredible as well.
She scores for film and TV, and she also is I believe the booker / manager figure in her partner Claude Hayes' music career.
Right.
And she's booked international tours, and she's a smart, organised chick.
Yeah.
And very good with her energy, which was great for me to see as somebody who would end up staying at band rehearsal till 1 a.m. Yeah. Like, we actually had to get professional. Like, we were managing before that as professionals. And, yeah, that was super interesting.
Where on the scale of milestones was Sci-Fi for you? Like, festival gig?
Oh, it was pretty big. Oh, it was fucked up. It was so cold, number one, and as a singer, like on the lead up, because I think we played on the Saturday and all of our crew rocked up on the Thursday night or something. It was a kind of hard, like it was a taste of missing out, like as a performing, touring musician, depending on what you require to keep your skills to standard by the time the gig rolls around. Like, I couldn't do all the fun things that everyone was doing on the Thursday night or the Friday, and it was my first festival. So watching the people close to me having an awesome time while I'm having to like rug up with scarves, make sure I don't get sick, constantly being tied to the van so that I could like get hot water for tea and stuff, and just feeling a little bit left out. It was a taste of, this is a lonely journey. Well, those are the extremes that you get, because obviously when you're on stage, and when I was on stage and my voice was at the microphone, having to improvise to entertain the crowd, and the largest crowd that we've ever had, so, you know, having to really make use of that opportunity. And I mean, those are, and then so I sort of had like a little solo, like, and just played around with my voice live touch too, like looping some stuff, playing with harmony, stuff like that's pretty awesome. Like, obviously that's like, I was the center of attention, so there are these extremes in music where it's like you have to like hide away and be in a hovel and like study your ass off, stuff like that, so that you can do your job.
Yeah.
Like when the time comes around, but it's a huge toll on the lead up sometimes, like socially and spiritually. Sometimes it feels very sad to have to miss out on some stuff that you would love to experience on a personal level. So that was again a taste of like professional muso life.
Yes.
For me. But then playing at a festival as well, I mean, it was very liberating, and it gave me a sense of gave me something to look forward to, you know, that size of stage, that quality of sound, audio engineering, and speakers, foldback. Yeah, also gave me a vision to chip away towards, and that feeling, that reward that you get from sharing yourself on such a level. Yeah. Is a drive.
Well, on the topic of milestones and that drive and getting towards it, for the sake of manifestation, what artistic opportunity is currently a goal for you at this stage?
A digestible product, audio product, of my soul to others. A little EP or an album, well recorded, good sounds, good players. I mean, it can all be good in your bedroom, and I've thankfully during isolation had a lot of time to explore Logic, the program, and come up with some like good demos that I feel okay about showing other people. But I'm moving past SoundCloud quality. Yeah. I want Spotify presence. I want a presence that will be taken seriously. So I'm hooking up some opportunities for good recording studios and good engineers. Very conscious of the vibe. Like I don't want it to become like, you know, a big business, like you're in, you're out, kind of like do the take or not sort of like attitude. Like still a nurturing space for creativity and like a truthful voice to come through, and you know, a bit of play in that. But at the end of the day, people who have the goal of quality.
What sort of instruments and musicians are you looking for in these demos that you've created? Like what are we going to hear?
As always, a bass player.
Yeah.
Good bass player.
Good bass player.
However, the guitarist I'm working with is very proficient and very good at bass as well.
Who are you with?
His name's Victor Jesus.
Oh, you guys did the college, tape video together. Yeah. Oh, he was. Oh, I'm so glad. He's real good.
Yeah. He's what I love about him is his attitude. Very chill, and I think his relationship to music he's Brazilian, and I think he's got that from that culture and how he's worked with music, living there previously. I feel a different attitude. There's no ego or stress around deadlines or business, because music appears to just be a part of life. It's not something to stress about. Yeah. Which gives me opportunity not to stress. I tried to poach Jesse Redwing, who's a Sydney blues guitarist. Yeah. I did tell him pretty upfront, you could be the bass player in my band. Always looking for a drummer too. I do know drummers obviously as well, but again, I'm really just, and I don't know quite what it is, but I'm looking for a lack of ego. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I basically need a whole band except a guitarist.
Yeah. Do you find what you listen to influences you? What are you listening to? And does it influence your music?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I had some time working with a bossa nova Brazilian jazz guitarist in the Blue Mountains, and he started me, or our collaboration started me singing this kind of music, also in Portuguese, which I can't claim at all to be able to speak Portuguese. I can sing some of it.
That's so cool.
But what I enjoyed engaging in that project was like the textures and the phrasing and the different undulations and feeling of another language. Yeah. It felt therapeutic to sing, regardless of if I knew what it meant. It was taking the significance away from words and the meaning of words, and putting significance into the feeling of sound.
Yeah, like, I mean, Mongolian throat singing would be a great example of that. It is so meditative and like just the vibrations.
I actually have a funny story about Mongolian throat singing. So I was life modelling at Camelot Lounge in Django Bar, Marrickville, and their life drawing class has not only a life model but a musician.
Cool.
To aid the night's vibe.
Yeah.
And so life models up on a podium and some props or whatever as usual. Also with a camera that projects your body up onto a big white wall for the people up the back who can't see the model very easily. So obviously you can draw from the body, physical body, or the camera is positioned at a certain angle of your body and it's on a large screen. Plus, there's a musician right next to you, which is a whole different vibe as a life model, because usually it's a very like protected space. It's like a naked person in the room. Everybody has to knock on the door. Like, nobody can take photographs, obviously. But the fact that there's also another artist working with you in that class is really interesting. And was quite confronting at first. But anyway, one of the musicians that I've encountered on these jobs was a Mongolian horse harp player.
Whoa.
And it's this beautiful harp. I don't know if the strings are horsehair, I'm not sure, but the head of the harp is a horse. It's really beautiful.
Cool.
And he plays it with a bow and all this shit. But I remember posing and I'm listening to the dude play and I'm hearing this texture and I'm like, I'm not in a position where I can look at his instrument, like he's sort of, I've turned around or whatever. And I suddenly realized that tone can't be the harp. Like, that's not the sound of the harp. How is he doing that? Like, his hands are occupied. Does he have, like, his foot on something? And then I realized, holy, it must be his throat. And there was no, like, preparation of, like, this is so-and-so, the Mongolian throat singer. It was just like, this is a dude with a harp. Let's let it be revealed what he does. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
And so to be right next to a Mongolian throat singer / horse harp player was it was a hilarious, beautiful revelation of what the fuck was going on next to me. And as a vocalist, I was just like, this subtle but quite important difference in what different cultures aspire for in music.
Yeah.
So and Portuguese, Brazilian music started my journey into world folk music, because some of the rhythms and rhythm patterns, even as a vocalist, in a music style that's in different time signatures to general Western music.
Totally.
And especially someone who's not all over music theory, I was just feeling it all. Like, I wasn't analysing it. It was a very intuitive experience where I had to navigate a different world of music that I didn't understand. And so those rhythms and stuff, and same with that, got me onto like African music and loved like Arabic, Middle Eastern music, not only singing and scales, but also the guitar playing. So then it sort of has come out in like my own writing, which is more like folk roots, rock, like origin, but then all these little weird harmonies, or
little nods to,
or weird structure.
Do you find that life imitates art?
God, yeah.
I know that you do. Yeah. I'm just like, I'm asking it as if I don't know, but I know that I'm
just
that you
looking
do.
At you like the
you
answer is
stupid
just
bitch.
one profound yes. I don't want to. Sometimes I wish that they weren't related.
Wow. Okay.
Because it's hard, like especially if you feel things quite deeply, or you have a certain tendency to view like things that happen in your life in a negative way, or you take it out on yourself, like failures or rejection or anything like that. It's a torturous personal experience of moving through your own challenges and getting to the other side and becoming something better. Music is an aid for that. It's a tool to observe what's going on and also figure it out. I think always the answers are inside of you, and music is a way to get to that. Giving your power over to another vibration, a physical thing that can help you release whatever you're feeling. Like that's sort of another part of it. But for me, it's more a necessity. It's just sort of like, if I don't turn what I'm feeling into something positive, creating something to look back on and go, I learnt that lesson, and this song is the reminder. Yeah. And it's a timestamp. It's like recording yourself and the people that matter to you in history. It's definitely like the story of my life, my songs. Yeah. I find it really hard to collaborate with others for the sake of just writing a song. Yeah, and also because like in anything in life, especially creative, what you engage with creatively, there's often a lot of challenges in that. You know, overcoming your self-doubt or working with people might be a bit difficult or whatever. Like it's all just a bit hard. So totally. I think you got to choose your battles.
Let's quickly touch on some more things before all our cameras die. So you're an artist, you're a painter. What new perspective has been on the flip side of that, watching the artist create, being the model in the room? What have you learned that you can take on board as an artist yourself?
A lot. It feels like I'm giving back to artists when I life model. I think it just comes from a place of knowing the struggles sometimes and knowing the nature of the union between someone and their creative passion, drive, vision, obsession. And I love helping them with that. Yeah. I guess it makes me feel like a part of a community that's larger than music or larger than my bandmates or anything. It's just me contributing to art itself and people's desire to continue making art. Like it feels very purposeful, to be honest. And what I take from that is just that it's okay to have a creative drive, and it's okay to be on that journey. I think sometimes I can get in my head a little bit and doubt my own right to be creative, especially when sometimes it doesn't feel like you're helping anyone and there's shit going down in the world and you go, why am I spending so much time in my bedroom recording demos that may never go anywhere? Watching the artists do their thing, I'm reminded of how important it is, whether or not the product goes anywhere, just for like people's individual therapy and sense of well-being. Everyone life drawing is hungry for life drawing, and I honestly don't think, maybe there's a few exceptions, but I honestly don't think people are hungry for a naked body. They're hungry for that hour or 3 or whatever of stillness.
Of uninterrupted creation. Uninterrupted,
like, union with themselves. Absolutely. Because throughout that drawing process, they're just with themselves and something very sacred and bare, which is a blank piece of paper, and their ability to make something in the world. Absolutely. That engagement and that process is so beautiful. So, I mean, fuck, I gain a lot. I don't know if that answered the question. But that's the main thing I get. I guess it reminds me, it helps me feel okay about being an artist. Basically. Because I sort of grow fond for these people, and I want to encourage their artworks and their creation, and I compliment their works, and they might be like, oh, I didn't get the proportion right, sorry, you don't look like you do or whatever, and it's like, dude, like, I can't do that. You made a thing right now in a short space of time.
Looks like a human. Very good.
Well done. And like,
totally,
it's something great to be a part of with other people. Like everyone just be like, oh, look what I did. Like, it's sort of like preschool in a way. It's just the pure joy of sharing yourself. And also observing another. Spending so much time looking at this person, not in an objectifying way, like the model, I mean. Not in an objectifying way, or nothing to do with your personal relationship or your own biases or judgments. Like, it's just appreciation for the world and life itself. It's a very unique experience, life drawing and life modeling.
Totally. What is the effect of seeing people's physical perceptions of you?
Observing other people's physical observation and depiction of you is very humbling. Not because you look good in every single drawing or what you think, what you would like to look like,
Good,
you don't necessarily look like.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes a slap in the face. And it's true. Like, I think when you see so many drawings, one after the other, and reoccurring aspects of your body look the same consistently, you go, well, I can't really argue that. That wasn't like a fuck up. That's actually just how my body is.
Yeah.
And having to accept that.
Yeah.
And sort of, even though it's disappointing sometimes, like, it's also like, well, I got it. Better start loving it now. I think what happens is that I realize that even if I don't like what I'm seeing, that inevitably there's been an exchange of love and appreciation just by the fact that somebody has spent time on drawing that part of you.
Yeah, totally.
And that helps me to receive it. I feel their love.
Yeah.
You know, whether they would call it love, the act of drawing, but they, at the end of the day, they spent time and energy focusing and trying to communicate me. Yeah. And I choose to be open to that. Yeah. Because there's a fuckload of other things people can be doing with their time.
Totally.
And they happen to spend it with me, naked, in maybe not a flattering position to draw, or not a drawing that you'd want to end up with on your wall or something all the time. But nonetheless, we engaged in a creative project together. Yeah, totally. So I just take that as a compliment, I guess.
All right. Well, thank you for the interview bit. There's only one more thing that I wanted to do with you if we have the recording capability on any device. Yeah, cool. Go follow Lulu and all this shit. Mwah.
Please.
Hey, day.